Hello and welcome to vKind Connects. Today I am here with the founder of Crafty Counter, Hema Reddy, and so excited to connect with her. She has developed some incredible products and especially, we'll talk more about that. But anyway, I just want to introduce you to Hema. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Michonne. Glad to be here and thanks for the opportunity to share a story.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. And I guess let's start first because I'm not sure if everybody is aware of Crafty Counter, even though you can find your products in so many retail locations. But can you give us a little bit of your backstory? Like what had you start Crafty Counter?
Thanks for asking that. I was at this point, I was 2015. I'd been at IBM for about 14 years and went through the career ladder. And it was time for me to pause and reflect on what I wanted to do for the next 20 years. And the answer was something that had to be more authentic and had to be more connecting and a meaningful way we make an impact, not just in the current generation, but for the next generation to come. And food is something that I always connected with deeply. You know, I grew up in a food fanatic household with a crazy amount of attention on nutrition and the quality of ingredients. And so with all of that, endowments from my, childhood, I decided to start Crafty Counter because one thing that really bothered me when I tried to make some quick meal solutions or try to find options in supermarkets is we didn't find enough balanced meals. Something that had a good amount of protein and vegetables. It's not just about vegetables, not just about protein. I just wanted something that's well balanced and has clean ingredients and that's easy to heat and eat. And I didn't find that. So I started Crafty Counter to just bring more practical, convenient frozen food solutions to families across the country with just a bursting flavor profile. So that's how we got started. And here we are, 4 years into this journey and a major pivot. And I'm sure we'll get into it as we go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's, I just have to say, as a family working and navigating all the different things that come with that, all the different places you need to go, sometimes we need something quick and easy. And I always would feel guilty, like, oh, I'm not giving the balanced diet. And then when I found Wonder Nuggets, I was just so excited about that. We love the Mediterranean falafel, but I need to try some of the others too. I just wonder, like, how did you come up with the Wonder Nuggets? And then I'd love to give like a little sneak preview of the Wonder Egg. Like, what had you decide to create these and these specific products?
Yeah, no, great question. So Wonder Nuggets came about because I wanted to create that balance of protein and real vegetables, not, powdered stuff. But if you can imagine a quick and easy meal, it had to have a good amount of plant protein, good amount of vegetables and flavor that, a millennial couple can eat, a kid can eat, parents can make a quick meal out of it. And that just packs a punch and has a good amount of dietary fiber in it. Increasingly, gut health is linked to brain health, right? And so keeping our gut healthy is one of the, key criteria, and popping a pill sometimes doesn't help it. So that's what led to the creation of Wonder Nuggets. We're actually rebranding them to WunderBites because they are just made with legumes. So the star ingredient in these nuggets is Bengal gram lentils. It's a very meaty kind of lentil that I grew up on in India. It's used in sweet and savory dishes, and you just don't find that here in mainstream foods in America. So I really wanted to bring a clean source of protein on lentil that was not familiar to the population here, and then combine them with vegetables and global cuisine inspired spices. And so, they are a hit in my family, and they saved us on many dinner nights. So that's how Wonder Nuggets got born. And what I found out is increasingly, as I was talking to the customers, they thought it was a fake chicken nugget, like a vegan chicken nugget. So there was some amount of confusion there. So this is how you evolve a brand. Oftentimes it's not what you set out to be, and you learn and you iterate and you pivot to what best meets the consumer's needs. And so we pivoted, and we basically rebranded Wonder Nuggets to WunderBites. In fact, our brand spanking new website is live right now on craftycounter.com. So they're called WunderBites because they're more like bites. It's bites made of lentils and legumes and veggies. So with that evolution, what also happened last year was a turning point. I was not always a vegan or vegetarian. We ate very little on Sundays as we grew up. But last year, everything turned. I was already beginning to get aware of intensive factory farming and the impact on the climate, on health. And just like environment. So I was already getting sour. So I had stopped eating basically most kinds of meat. Last year after COVID, I was like, okay, this is enough is enough. There's a reason why we are facing a pandemic. And it's one of the three reasons, at least, that is cause of pandemic is animal-based, proteins. And so we totally our whole family went vegetarian, borderline vegan, on our way to going vegan. We're working on our cheese little by little, but basically we're primarily, we're vegetarian, primarily vegan, and on the journey to be completely vegan. That was a turning point because I come from a meat-eating family. Like my family, my sisters, and my parents even think we're crazy for doing this, but we're once you see things, once you know things, you can't unsee them. And with the pandemic, another thing that happened is a lot of our store resets got moved to next year because the country was basically shutting down, and I had more time. So because we turned vegetarian and increasingly doing more vegan choices into our meat and dairy, not meat alternatives and dairy and cheeses and so on, eggs became one of those things where I was not able to enjoy them anymore. And how much of just egg can you eat, right? And we're a boiled egg family. Like my kids pack them in sandwiches and so on. And so I really wanted to see, how can I do more? How can I bring more options to the market? How can I help the population that wants to have more snackable plant-based options? And one thing that was missing in the market is boiled eggs. So I got to work, just after many iterations of boiled eggs, we finally came upon a formulation that is based off nuts. Another guiding guardrail for us is to work with simple, clean ingredients and not ultra processed or extruded ingredients. So we figured out a way to make a very simple boiled egg. We called it WunderEggs, and now we have a trademark on it and a patent on it. But the whole inspiration came from really breaking down what's happening around us and the intense desire to create products driven by the purpose that we need to have more options out there, and we need to eat more and more plant-based foods. So.
Thank you, Hema. Thank you for sharing your journey, because that's it. For most of us, it wasn't just a snap and now we're vegan, right? There was a journey and an experience in getting there. And I love the whole concept of once you know more, you can do more, right? Once you know better, do better. And absolutely, there's a few things that I have missed being vegan. I've been vegan for over a decade now, but it's a lot easier now, especially with you, with WunderBites and WunderEggs. But, it's about, again, addressing a need, seeing like, okay, what is it that we're missing? Because food is also so much about comfort and experience. And, the fact that you were able to create these, and I know you had sent some and we got to try the WunderEggs, and oh my gosh, it's been so long since I'd had a hard-boiled egg or a deviled egg or something like that. And those were one of my favorite things before. It was a beautiful experience, and it tasted amazing, and the texture was right. And we were blown away. So thank you. Very excited to see these in more places. And I guess that's my next question is, where can our viewers find your products?
Yes, so WunderBites currently are sold online on craftycounter.com. We ship nationwide. They're also available in select locations of Sprouts nationwide, and the store locator on the website has, a way to search for those locations. They're also sold in Target through the East Coast and Midwest. They're in some independents here in Texas and Central Market. And also on Thrive Market. So if you shop on thrivemarket.com, it's a marketplace with sustainable food offerings with very, very, very good quality sourcing. And so our products are also available on Thrive Market. And we're just going out there growing and, trying to get more stores and be more available to our consumers. But the easiest way is to shop online on our website, as well as find the nearest location of Target or Sprouts.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for making it so accessible. I have to say, like, kudos to that for being able to get in, because that's a big hurdle that we have sometimes is we have to go to 9 different places to try and find the foods that we want to get. And the fact that you've made it so easy and accessible is huge. And I think something that we want to have more vegan businesses doing, because it's also convenience. Right? So much of our life has to be in our culture specifically too, is really around convenience. And so the fact that you've created these that are convenient items that are healthy, because a lot of times we have that whole stigma around processed foods where, oh, it's not good. I want whole food vegan. But can you give us just a little distinction on like what makes your products different than other processed foods?
Absolutely. That's my favorite question. There are a lot of meat alternatives. It's a good time right now to be a vegan, right? Because there's increasingly new innovation coming in the marketplace, lots of variety that's coming in foods, snacks, obviously milks and cheese and chocolate and so on. One thing that, we need to step back and look at is while we're being mindful to the planet, my words are not rolling out. While we're being mindful to the planet, let's also be mindful to the body. I'm so excited to be at a time where the whole plant-based movement has been pioneered by companies like, say, Tofurky, right? Beyond Meat, Impossible, and they have, in a way, questioned the kind of de facto definition that, okay, you need animal protein to have, for your protein intake. They've made it accessible. They've made people think about, okay, why should we eat plant-based, right? So it's a good time, and it's a good time to innovate in this space because the consumer is already there. They're asking the questions that, okay, am I eating right? Am I eating too much meat? So this is a good time to also pause and think about, okay, now that you've started asking the question, what is plant-based eating? Our whole, proposition is, let's think about what we're eating in our plant-based foods, right? They have to be harvested from the ground and made it into some kind of food item. Now, when you harvest a product like peas from the ground and you take them to a milling center, right, a milling factory, and then you are again processing it to make it like a powder, and then processing it again to texturize it, and then putting it in a burger, now you're suddenly not eating real food. So it is kinder to the animals. It is still much lower footprint than animal, processing, right? And that takes a toll on our greenhouse gas emissions, and also like the amount of land that they use up to grow the food that feeds the cattle or the chickens and so on. But at the same time, we can't eat these foods every single day. We need to eat plants as plants. That's how our products differentiate. So we use chickpeas, like say dried garbanzos. We soak them and we work with them. We don't use canned garbanzos, for instance. We soak our lentils, and then we grind them with the vegetables and whole spices. So the idea is to provide foods that are as minimally processed as possible versus ultra processed and, having hydrogenated oils. Like, we don't need all that. All you need is simple source of plant protein, real vegetables, add the right amount of spices and seasonings that are functional, that also have additional benefits to your, microbiome, and then eat that, and they taste like real food, right? Same thing with the eggs. Well, the reason why we went with nuts is they're such a clean source of protein, and we're not, we're always going to stick to an ingredient list that you can read and understand and you can find in your own pantry. So that's how we differentiate, is we are trying to bring more mindful options that are easier on the human body and that just looks and tastes like real food. That's how we need to be. That's the direction we need to be moving. Yeah. And in the food world, it's being coined as something like a third wave, which is basically, first wave was like tofurkey and all that, that the second wave was like Beyond Meat that looked and imitated meat. And now the third wave is like, let's think about more whole food plant-based options versus ultra processed ones, which again is not a good way to live either.
Absolutely. And I'm so grateful for it because I'm also a junk food vegan, very foodie. I love all food, but it does feel really good to know that there's something I can grab that is balanced, and also doing kind of the palate training in terms of different spices and experiences, especially for my kids and myself included. I think that's one of the things that's so unique about your products too, is having the different, like the world palette spices. In there. So thank you again. And I guess one of the things that I'm curious about is we've been talking so much about food, and I'm just curious, like, what is your go-to comfort food?
Oh, I love any day. I would love just a hot bowl of steamed rice, fresh cooked rice, white rice, or brown rice and quinoa. So a form of starch, basically. And combined with like fresh hot lentils. So in India, we call it dal, which is just like, pressure cooked or steamed lentils seasoned with turmeric and garlic and mustard seeds and cumin seeds and cilantro. It is amazing. It's just so hard. It's so refreshing, so hearty. And so I would just have hot steamed rice with some dal, which is like, yellow lentil soup. Yeah. Mix it up and put maybe a dollop of vegan butter on it, and that's it. Go to town.
That sounds awesome. And I love it's usually our comfort foods are something so simple. It's just something that's got totally. right. It's delicious. It's warming. It's comforting, and it's nostalgic. Right. I love that it was. In India, I used to have this, and that's my comfort food, is a traditional Filipino dish that I was missing so much, and now I'm able to veganize as well.
What's it called?
So, well, it's Filipino breakfast, and it's you do rice. It's the rice, right? The rice is my comfort. It's a garlic rice. So you cook the rice up with garlic and some vegan butter, and then you have. And typically, it's we do Spam. Like, I know people are like, "What do you miss?" And I'm like, Spam. I know it's an odd, weird thing. The Omni Foods just came out with a vegan version of Spam, and I haven't had Spam in like 15 years. And so was super excited about that. It's rice and Spam and eggs. And so I've been using usually tofu scramble or the Just Egg now, the scramble. And now I'm very excited to add in WunderEggs, because deviled eggs were my other comfort food. I could polish off like a dozen or two of those by myself. So,
yes.
So
I'll be right there next to you.
So very, very, very excited. And that I like people to think about, like, okay, especially in that journey to veganism, like, what is it that you miss? What is it you're craving? Because in order to stick to it, you've got to have those things to go back to. So it's like, okay, find your comfort food, find what keeps you centered, and find a way to veganize it so that you have that kind of touchstone. And I think that's, anything that can help us on our journey, because it's getting so much easier, but it's not easy yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
totally.
so thank you. And, I want to ask, like, you've been doing this now for a few years, and, what would you say has been your most defining moment in starting this business, being a woman business owner as well, but also just like, what is your most defining moment that you can recall?
So in the beginning, when we started Crafty Counter, we did blended protein options with chicken, half chicken and half vegetable. The idea was to make it easier for parents to skip less, like have less meat than they need to, and make it easier for kids to eat a chicken nugget without feeling like they're missing out on the chicken, right? In the beginning, that's what we went to market with in 2018. By 2019, I became aware of the impacts of factory farming. I talked to all the poultry farmers. I became aware of how the chickens are raised. And I mean, it was just a sour, I just could not look at poultry again. And in 2020, we pivoted. And it was a very difficult decision for me because we had invested by this time 2 years in talking to like nationwide retailers on launches with like Sprouts and Kroger and so on. And so we had a lot of opportunity in terms of revenue that was finally, that finally came through, and we could, finally have really substantial revenue uptick. And that was also the time when I just couldn't get behind what we're doing. The idea of starting Crafty Counter is to make an impact. The definition of impact changed from making an impact for families today to make it an impact on the kids in the next generation to come and our climate. So the magnitude, there was an explosion, there was an amplification in the magnitude of the impact that we wanted to make, and the definition of purpose went above and beyond. Just from our current needs to being responsible as a generation today. So it was very hard because we had to say no to revenue. As a young startup, saying no to momentum is extremely hard. We completely dropped all our chicken items. We went completely plant-based, 100% vegan company. And that was I call it that a defining moment because it was hard. What do you say to your early investors, right? And at the same time, as a startup, you start beginning worrying about what people think, but it was also defining because it felt so relieving. It felt so good from the inside. It felt like we're finally doing the right thing. This is the path we were meant to be all along. And it was almost as if the universe wanted, speaking in the voice of a founder, wanted me to start a food business to understand what the true purpose actually is, right? I could never in a million years think that we would go vegetarian or vegan on the way to being vegan. But now that just seems like that is the only way to live. That's the only way to be. That's the only way to exist. So it was defining because, stopping those chicken SKUs and pivoting to completely vegan line felt right, but it also opened up a much bigger door. Like I wouldn't have had the bandwidth or capacity to think about inventing a new product like WunderEggs if we hadn't completely had that lull where we discontinued all our SKUs. Now we are rebranding or relaunching the new, line. And saying no to all those revenue opportunities meant I had the time to come up with a new opportunity. So it's like God shuts one door, but there's a much bigger door that opens. So that's exactly what happened. So even though it felt very hard, it led to a much bigger door, much, connected purpose, and a much bigger impact that we can drive now for today's generation and paving the new category. I mean, there is no boiled vegan egg category, right? We get to be disruptors and the, first movers in this space. And I believe this category is ripe for disruption, and, we're here. And so that's what I would call the defining moment for us.
Absolutely, Hema. And thank you again for sharing that, because it's, that's why we started vKind too, is to give spotlight and focus to people and businesses who have made those choices, because we want to, in our daily lives as well, vote with our dollars and be spending our money in the veg economy and with things that are aligned with our values and ethics and what we care about, right? And most people come to veganism either for the animals, for health, or for the planet, or all three. And it's about how do we highlight the businesses who truly have that as their passion and mission. Yeah. Because that is what is truly changing the world and will shift it. And I feel like we're in a huge momentum space. And the fact that, yes, you're disrupting the boiled egg sector and the processed food sector and the plant-based, like it's so many different things at once where it's inspiring and it's exciting. It's a very exciting time. So Thank you again. And I guess we're getting close to time. So I just want to say, like, how can we best support you? How can our viewers and listeners support you? How can we get the word out? How do we, give you what you need so that we can keep this moving?
Well, we're looking for early taste testers. We're looking for folks that will be part of our community. It is a new product. There's a lot of testing, and also bringing whole food plant-based options is something there's not enough dialogue on. We would love to collaborate with activists, thought leaders, bloggers, folks that care deeply about just the plant-based movement. But then take it up another level and talk about whole food plant-based movement. So we would love to connect with them if they could sign up on our website, right? We would love for them to connect with us. There's also an interest form on our WunderEggs coming soon page that is asking for influencers that want to be part of the top 100 founders club. So if they could just submit their information, we would love to build this community and continue to share and inform and educate and have fun along the way.
I love that. And that's the important part, right? Anything sustainable has to be enjoyable too.
Yeah.
Like you really have to enjoy it. So thank you. And your website, again, we'll put it in the show notes, but is craftycounter.com?
That's right. With a C.
All right. Yes. And we'll put it in the show notes. So please head on over there. And again, thank you so much, Hema. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for creating these amazing products and offers for all of us to experience and hopefully bring over some more folks who are veg curious into our world, because it's as you said, like you open a door, never could have imagined you would be transitioning to vegan, and it all just starts happening, and you're going to be a part of why that happens for many individuals. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you also to all of our viewers and listeners. That's it for this episode. So be sure to stay tuned for the next episode of vKind Connects, where we will continue to meet with amazing individuals and businesses who are making a big impact in the veg economy. And make sure to subscribe, like, and share this interview and any of our others. And remember, if it's on vKind, it's vegan. So you can trust it. That's the vetted. Come to us. We're your easy button for finding all things vegan. So thank you, and enjoy. Have a wonderful day.